The time is now 8:13. Behind the scenes at the Government Center uptown, city staffers are crunching numbers and reviewing spreadsheets.
It's the early stages of budget season, a time when city priorities start to take shape, and you can have a say in how taxpayer money is spent. Joining us live right now is Chris Thaxton. He is the City of Charlotte lead strategy and budget analyst. Chris, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to start the day with you.
So lay it out for us. Budgets can be complicated, but we're lucky to have you talking to us about it. We know City Council, they usually vote on this, usually in June or something. That's usually when we cover, we do stories on it. But people don't realize now is the time that this budget starts to take shape behind the scenes. Can you explain what all goes into creating the city budget?
Yeah, certainly. City budget's with a 2-year lens, so work on this year's budget really started about a year and a half ago. We do this to make sure we set ourselves up for success, so anything that we do next year is getting us off on a sound footing for the following year. Each fall, we start to meet with departments, get an idea of what the needs are going to be, compare that with our projections of our revenues so we can see what exactly we'll be able to invest in. But like you said, with all that in mind, the budget is really City Council's. So they have an annual strategy session at the start of each year. This wonderful weather we've been having caused some hiccups in that scheduling, but it should be happening in the next couple of weeks. And then over the next few months, they'll continue to meet with us and with the public on some more specific topics they'd like to see us address in the budget.
So, Chris, we know that balancing a budget at home, it can be quite difficult for some, but that's very different than balancing a budget for an entire city, especially a large city like Charlotte. So what are some of the biggest differences? I mean, we don't have strategy sessions, at least most people probably don't, when they're talking about their budget at home.
Yeah, in a few basic ways it's similar. You know, we have a limited amount of money and we try to do as much as we can with it. By state law, we have to be structurally balanced, which means we can't overspend this year in hopes that we get more money next year. So it's another way our revenues have to be greater than our expenses that it takes to operate the city every year. But the biggest difference, most people are probably aware of this, is just the size. The city's general fund, which pays for all the core services we see on the street every day, is almost $950 million this year. And that supports over 20 departments, almost 6,000 employees. So there's a lot of competing priorities for council to consider each year in the budget. And another thing people may not realize, the city has limited revenue sources. So if there's an unexpected need, like a snowstorm in the middle of a year, we're trying to figure out how to deal with that using a budget that we set half a year ago. So the work on the budget doesn't stop when council adopts it. We continue to refine things and figure out how to live within our means throughout the year.
$950 million, that's a lot of money. Just really quick, how does that compare to the budget from the previous years? Is that about the same? Is it slightly more or less?
Yeah, it's slightly more. So the city's revenues grow as the city grows. When we get new investments, new people moving into the city, we get a bit more money that we can invest back into the city. Usually about 2 to 4%, just depends on the economy and other things.
So how does the city and how does City Council prioritize their goals? And how exactly do they choose what gets money, what doesn't get money?
Yeah, so that annual strategy session I mentioned, that plays a really big part in that. Again, they set a set of strategic priorities, and that's the framework for everything the city does for the next year, budget included. Then City Council has a budget and governance committee. So they'll meet in the next couple of weeks and they'll decide on some very specific topic areas they want to discuss further in the next few months. That'll happen through a series of meetings within that committee, within City Council writ large. All of those are going to be streamed on the city's YouTube page, on the city's Gov channel. So we really encourage all of Charlotte's residents to tune in, see what's being discussed for the next year. Then city staff, we take all the input from that and we develop a proposed budget that the city manager will give to council in early May. And then they have another series of meetings where they'll go through the budget and talk on some more specific things they'd like to see change before they finally adopt it in June. So a lot of deliberation between them and between us.
And so there is a chance, though, for the taxpayers to weigh in on the city's budget.
Oh, absolutely. After spending about 90% of my job in this dark office looking at spreadsheets, I love this part of the year when we get to talk to the community directly. So first off, our office will publish a short budget survey in the next couple of weeks after City Council sets those strategic priorities. I think it's only 5 questions. It'll be available on the city's webpage. We really encourage everybody to go and give us some direct feedback. We share all of that with council, and it's a big part of their meetings that I mentioned. We also publish a budget game, for lack of a better word, called the Balancing Act, where you can kind of step into our shoes, make your own budget for the city. It is realistic, though. So if you want to invest somewhere, you might have to raise taxes unless you can figure out what to cut. And then our office also hosts a series of virtual and in-person engagement events where you can come talk to us directly. You can give us direct feedback on what you want to see in the budget, ask more questions about what it's like to build the budget or how certain city departments operate. All of those dates, again, going to be on the city's website once they get scheduled. And then lastly, City Council will host a public hearing after the first budget is proposed. So that's when you can voice your concerns or the things you like directly to council after you get a glimpse of what we're thinking about for the upcoming year.
Listen, nobody's ever going to say the city budget is the sexiest topic, but you'd be hard pressed to say that there is not a more important one that impacts all of us and that we all have a vested interest in.
Yeah, that's interesting, and certainly a number of steps to get to the approval of a budget.
Chris, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you explaining it all to us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.